Working in retail is never easy, especially when you have to deal with a bunch of crazies. Welcome to this episode of Tales from Retail. Our first tale is from Adriel Bast. Working in retail, y'all know you're gonna get some dumb encounters, and I think this one takes first place out of my last 3 shifts. Regular came in. As soon as she's at the counter, she went, "I don't have an ID on me. I want Marlboro Lights." I can't sell without an ID. I tell her as such. She's a regular. She knows the rules. She tries to argue, and I repeat that I can't sell and wave over the next customer. Lady grumbles, starts to stalk away before turning to the customer I was helping. "You got an ID on you?" He didn't respond. Didn't hear her. Asks for a few cans of chew and she stalks back to her car, which was given a nightmare parking job and was blocking access to multiple gas pumps. As I'm ringing his stuff up, punching in his ID for the tobacco, she comes back over. The guy hasn't even left yet, still pocketing his things when she repeats that she wants her smokes. I do what you do and ask if she found her ID, and I kid you not, she pointed at the guy I had just finished up with and said she was going to use his ID. Never mind that the guy never even said he'd loan her his ID. There are a whole bunch of reasons why I can't do that. I tell her no, point out that using someone else's ID is illegal, and she tries to argue again. I tell her no again, and she stalked off, cursing up a storm. All the while, the guy is just wide-eyed, asking what just happened, and confused as fuck over why she thought he was going to give her his ID. Can one say entitled? To think that she can just go and use anybody's ID for her own purposes. It doesn't matter if she's a regular and has bought those things in the past. I'm 100% with the employee. If you don't have ID, you don't get a sale. This next tale is by Surface Savant. Long ago, I did in-home sales. I'd already had a long day and a very long week, and my patience was pretty short. Fortunately, I worked for a small family-owned business, so I was not too concerned with catching flack. I arrived at a customer's house to inspect the job site, and then try to sell the customer on my service. I was barely in the door when she starts trying to tell me how to do the service that I was quoting her. Keep in mind that this was a highly unique process that most people still have never heard of. I made several attempts to explain why I would need to do something a certain way, and she kept cutting me off and talking over me. All the while, I was thinking about all of the work that I still had to complete that week. Finally, I hit the breaking point. Practically shouting, I said, "Ma'am, I do not need your business and I do not need your attitude. You asked me to come here to quote you a service. If you want me to give you the quote, then be quiet and let me explain how I have to do this. If not, then I am leaving now." I was fully expecting to be kicked out of the house, but she calmed down instantly and let me proceed with my usual estimating. She booked the service and I even upsold the job. I'm not saying that this was a good idea, but sometimes it's worth showing that you have a backbone. I'm glad that basically telling her exactly how it was didn't backfire, but there are too many people like this. They're calling to need a service or anything, and yet all of a sudden they're suddenly an expert in what they need that service or whatever for. And in my head, I'm just thinking, then why do you need a service if you're a pro? This next tale is from Accurate Positive 13. In my 8 years of working in retail, I've only had one other incident where I felt so scared and mortified at what I did while helping a customer. I, 27 female, work at a popular fragrance store at my local mall. It was an hour before closing when a couple walk in to shop. I greet them and tell them the sale for the day before heading back to my register. After about 10 or 15 minutes, they come to my register to check out. I noticed the lady needed 3 more products to complete the promo we were having, so I inform her of this. She then goes to get 3 more products. I noticed the lady grabbed a tri-spray, so I go grab another spray from the top shelf near where her man was standing before she gets back to my register. This is where it all happened. I somehow, in my rush to get back to the register, before the lady returned to finish getting the rest of her purchase, I basically pushed the spray I was grabbing from the top shelf to the floor, where the top of it snapped cleanly off when it hit the floor right beside this man's foot, spilling the contents all over this man's sneakers. I immediately froze with a red, embarrassed face, and the fear of God in my eyes as I waited for his reaction. He slowly looked down and made a joke about, "At least my shoes will smell good now," as I'm apologizing to try to clean it up. He then tells me it's okay, they are just shoes, but he clearly looked annoyed. The rest of the transaction went normal. I'm so thankful he was calm about it. I'm pretty sure his shoes were ruined, though. Hopefully he doesn't complain to corporate. I mean, while it would suck to have something spilled on your shoes, especially something like that, a fragrance that might not be able to be removed easily or at all, it's good that he didn't lose his shit. I'm really hoping for the OP's sake, though, they definitely didn't complain to corporate. And our final tale is by Green Sus. Had a guy come in last minute last night at the convenience store I work closing shifts for. Usually it's not an issue. They're usually in and out fast. I was literally fetching the key to lock the doors when the guy in question came in, so I have to wait for him to finish before I can shut down. So again, I didn't think much because usually last minute stragglers are quick. He wasn't. Between him practically inspecting every single item we had on the shelves, going, "Wait, I need to get more things," 3 times after coming to the register, and then wanting to keep chatting after he'd paid and had his stuff bagged, despite me being non-receptive, it was almost 15 minutes past closing time. I've done everything I could to not give him reason to keep chatting, trying to be polite and nudge him out the door, to no avail. Then he went and asked, "So what time do you close anyway?" So I told him that we were supposed to have locked up 15 minutes ago, hoping that he would get the message and head out. Dude laughed, then kept trying to talk like, "Oh, you guys close early. When I worked retail, we stayed open until midnight." And then tried to go on a tangent about how things were when he was a retail worker, blah blah blah. I ended up having to be blunt, straight up telling him that if he's done shopping, I'll need him to leave so we can close. He, of course, got sour after that because of course it's terrible customer service. It's small and mostly inconvenient, but holy crap does it infuriate me when people know it's past or close to closing time and want to hang out despite it. I feel like what people should start asking these people are, "So how do you feel when somebody comes in last minute and keeps you from being able to go home on time?" And just kind of gauge their response, because effectively, that's what these kind of people are doing to these workers. And I'm in full agreement. These kind of people suck. Alright, that's enough tales for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Tales from Retail. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.